Right, let's get this show on the road then, shall we? Anyone let me know if they can hear me? I've not done a live stream in a while, so just let me know if it's not working. I assume no one will say anything. If it is working, it'll look good. Hang on a minute. I'm usually pretty useless at doing this kind of stuff, so... Right, let's get some of these bad boys on the charts then, shall we? Some of these top players that we've seen today. And some of these underdogs that we like to look at as well. Because they certainly are underdogs. Talking about the IEO coins. So I'm just, I've got two computers up. Obviously I'm doing a live stream here, but I'm very keen to play a short because I think we've pretty much topped out, but you just never know, do you? You just never know. I feel as though we're about to fall. To be honest with you, it's been quite a big day for the majority of these guys. I think when we're looking at Bitcoin specifically, we're likely to come back down into testing around just this area, just fall down by another 100 or so. But it's always so hard to say because that was a big candle that we've had today, wasn't it? It's just, I mean, what is that? 10%? That's pretty big for Bitcoin. A lot of these other coins have had massive beasts. So my trades today have mainly been usually the sort of things that you would normally trade in a breakout like this. Ethereum, I've been buying lots of Ethereum since we've been down in the dumps, and I'm very glad that I've done that. I'd had some spare money floating around in an old CFD trading account. I actually put that on Bitcoin Cash. A lot of my donation money that I've had from you guys, and yeah, pretty much all my donation money that I've ever had, which isn't an enormous amount. It's a tasty amount. It's not much at all, but it's a lot better now because I put it in Bitcoin SV, and well, what can I say? I mean, I don't know if you looked at that, but that is gone completely bonkers and bananas. So very pleased with that. Very pleased indeed. So let's have a look at some of these coins then, shall we? So Binance coin, fluttering around on the 5-minute chart there, because I was trading that. I've sold all that now. I'm kind of feeling as though we've reached our top at around 8,800. I think that was a bit toppy for Bitcoin. I think it's just going to trickle down a little bit, but not by much. And that'll bring the rest of the market down with it, but not by much. Honestly, it's been a big day for everybody, and let's see if there's anything that we can work out that's going on here. So Litecoin definitely overreached, being rejected around this area here. To be honest, breaking above there would go extremely bullish. That would be the 200 EMA. That is 58.50. Breaking above there, staying above there, I would expect a massive continuation. Probably looking to probably buy some of that. That'd be pretty good. A pretty good call, I reckon. We're going to wait for this consolidation to play out now, and we'll probably, unless we have a big spike down, we'll probably just trickle down for a couple of days maybe before continuing this run. Have a quick sip of tea there. Binance coin, again, pretty much the same as Bitcoin, doing pretty much exactly the same. Not as strong as Bitcoin, but has the potential to be very strong. On the daily, we're kind of beneath most of the main sort of the top players. We're talking about the 200s basically, and the 242, but all the others were pretty much beneath them. This is the 100 we're being held beneath, and we're in this resistance cloud. Once we break above there, we could quite easily see us getting up to 1820. Couldn't see that being a problem, to be honest. 1820 for Binance coin, but Bitcoin is the one to beat, and at the moment we're very, very bullish. We're above all major moving averages. These guys here don't really count, but once we get above the 242, which is almost where it's going to take us to this level here, the 9,500 area, this will cause an enormous pump. I'm pretty sure that once we break above there and we close above there, the 242 that would be, we'll be seeing wicks into the 10,000s. But we've got to close above there first. XRP, yeah, good call. XRP went skyrocketing, didn't it? Now I've been accumulating XRP as well since it was below 20 cent. It was kind of rude not to, so I've got quite a bit of that. Just for margin trading, really. It's not really a massive holding. It's just to do margin trades on, because I actually find XRP quite a safe coin to trade, because it generally doesn't do giant big moves, other than today. So here we're getting rejected from this is pretty much the same setup as Binance coin, actually, being rejected from the top of this cloud here, also the 100 simple, that is. So being rejected from there, that's fine. Breaking above there, we're looking to areas of around about 26 cent, and once we get above 26 cent, we'll be probably back into the 30s. Before you know it, the 242 is just curling beneath the 30 cent mark. It could do pretty well for itself, to be honest. Let's have a cheeky look at BAT, because BAT has been a bit of a slow mover. But I remember at the beginning of last year's bull trend, we could call it, last year's reversal, it really did rocket. It was doing really well. So let's see if we can work out if it's likely to do that again. Again, this is very early days. We could completely collapse. There's no reason why we couldn't just completely collapse. We've still not made a higher high on the weekly, which is what this area is. Once we've taken that area out, then I'm pretty sure it would be safe to say that we're going bullish. But until we do that, we're not actually in full bull mode. But we're close. We're very close. So where were we? What happened to BAT? There it is. It's pretty much the same as all of these alts, really. We're battling our way through this area here. We're not as bullish as Bitcoin. Bitcoin's clearly the most bullish of all of these. Looking way better on a chart basis than all of these alts. But the alts are making bigger moves. Most of these top alts are making bigger moves. That would be anyway. So again, to be rejected from 21 cent, 21.2 cent, get rejected from there. Then on our way up to 22 cent. 22.3 cent, and then it will really start to go bullish at that point. But again, very early days. We're still, in a bearish setup technically, in the middle of the range, to be honest. Between the 50 and the 200 is perfectly right in the middle. We're also in the middle of a resistance cloud, so a lot of the time it's best to hold off from that. But as we've had such big bold moves as of today, I think we're likely to have continuation after a bit of a pullback. But that pullback might only be minuscule. It might be small. I'm expecting Bitcoin to pull back, but probably not much further down than 8,600. 8,500, I'm pretty sure we won't reach that level. And if we do, that's where we'll find our next base and bounce from around that area. To retrace this entire candle, I'd be very, very, very surprised. I mean, we have topped out, clearly. We've topped out at this moment in time around 8,850. 8,800 was the area where I thought we were going to be topping out at. So we've kind of just overreached that ever so slightly, but it's no big deal. Not much. There's really not much in that 50 quid at this point. We're talking about higher numbers now, aren't we? Now we're getting back up towards the 10,000 area. What's 50 quid? It's nothing really. So the ones I'm the most interested in is Binance coin, Ethereum, and obviously Bitcoin. Now, if you were watching my channel, I was quite excited to see the chart of BitTorrent token, and if it wasn't for Bitcoin doing its thing, BitTorrent token would have completely dwarfed all other coins in its chart. It was ready to make a big move. It made a big bold move, but then the market moved, and it's just a coincidence. The market just moved, and it was purely coincidental. And BitTorrent token clearly did make some decent moves, but it's been making moves since the weekend. Really, I've had my eye on this from the weekend, and I did get in for a little bit, but I've got out already because there was more lucrative things, so I cashed it all into Binance coin. But the chart itself looks like it wants to do some good stuff. It's cooling off. It looks very much like all the other coins, but what I'm going to tell you is that other coins don't have this long period of accumulation, and that's what sort of got me kind of excited about it. So I think of all the coins that have rocketed now, depending on how the market wants to play out, which, you know, the market could play out dramatically to the up, and that would be good for all coins. But if it rests and consolidates, I think BitTorrent token is going to continue with its trend up, and we might be looking at some significant gains on this one over the next couple of months, more than most alts, that would be. But again, you know, if the market picks up, then it probably won't do that well. It'll do okay, but there'll be some of these other top alts, these top cap coins, that'll be making the most. Let's have a look at Matic then, shall we? Because we want to see if Matic's able to avoid this death cross, this incoming death cross, and if it keeps pushing a little higher, it probably would do that. And if it does that, then technically it's still playing out a golden cross, which means that actually, despite that massive collapse in price, it's technically still bullish. So yeah, well, I mean, we're not quite there yet. We've got to get above this level here, which isn't too much. It's only 0.1 of a cent it needs to get above, and it needs to get into this and above this area, 1.67 cent. If we can get above that area, then we've avoided the death cross for now, and technically we're still in a bullish territory on the daily. Golden cross being here, obviously that is horrible and nasty, but technically we've not crossed and gone bearish. The MACD looks like it's warming up, accumulating, even though it's accumulating in negative territory underneath all moving averages. Technically it's accumulating, so it's similar to that of BitTorrent token in the way that I see it, but not quite as constructive. And it's, you know, obviously we've got to be aware of that, but to be honest with you, this could be one of those little hidden gems that pops out of nowhere and gives us a massive big green candle, one that we'll never forget. You know, it's obviously not as big as this red one, but doubling in its value. I could quite easily see that. Right, I'll tell you what else we'll look at. It's Harmony 1. So a lot of people in my Telegram group have bought a lot of this, and I've not, unfortunately, bought any of it. I'm a little bit... I want to, because I want to believe in the hopium. I want that hopium that they've all got, but I just don't quite see it yet. But we do have, again, relatively decent accumulation period here. Again, with the RSI looking okay. You bottomed out over here for the first time, so we've not retested that, so that could be the bottom, perhaps, maybe. And given the fact that the market looks like it wants to turn around as of today, that might actually be the bottom, so the bottom actually could be in for this one. But as far as any kind of breakout, the volume is very, very, very low. So I suppose getting in at this level it could be the smartest thing you've ever done, but it could also be pretty disappointing. There's nothing on here to say that it's going to go bonkers, but that's just given the chart. I mean, I'm not one for fundamentals. I don't trade fundamentals. The only thing I have ever put money in fundamental purposes was Bitcoin SV, because if you look at that chart, there's really nothing you can say about it. It's just messy, it's all over the place. But there was somebody on my Telegram group who basically, he pitched it to me, and so I thought, well, yeah, what the hell, I'll chuck a few quid into that, and clearly it's done alright. So fundamentals are definitely very important, so I appreciate the people who do their homework, and the guy on my Telegram group definitely does do his homework, and he's pretty confident that something's going to happen with Harmony 1. So I have to I have to accept that technical analysis isn't everything, but for me it doesn't look great. I'll tell you why. I mean, if we look at this, we see spinning top candles quite frequently, which means indecision. It also is because there's not a great deal of trading volume in it. So a little bit of up, a little bit of down. It's not much going in and out of it, so it's creating these. But the Bollinger Bands are tightening up. We are beneath most moving averages of higher time frames and above those of lower, so it's kind of finding its way Obviously, with the nature of the market right now, it's moved its way a little bit further up towards the top of this Bollinger Band. If we do break out of it, it would be appropriate, given the way that it looks like it's been accumulating all this time. It just doesn't look as healthy, despite what happened with Matic. It doesn't look as healthy as Matic's accumulation period that we've had recently. So I think that Matic looks like it wants to do a bigger move than one, and so does BitTorrent Token. BitTorrent Token looks like it wants to do the biggest of all of them, to be honest with you, because it's had a longer period of accumulation. It bottomed out quite a while back, which is back here. This is the one that looks like it wants to do the biggest move of all, and I'm just talking about the IEO coins. I'm not talking about anything else, just the IEO coins. Obviously there's a million other coins out there, not a million, but the top 20 coins at least that are probably going to do better than most of these. BitTorrent Token, however, I do think is going to do pretty well, and I don't even like the coin, because how could you really like a chart like this? What a pile of mess. Big parabolic top and an enormous consolidation afterwards. So, whatever happens here, I don't think we'll be revisiting this high anytime soon. It'd be nice if we did, though. That was an 85% retrace. That would be an absolutely amazing thing to buy. BSV price usually fluctuates due to rumours, speculation surrounding Craig's right court case. Yeah, absolutely right. And the way I see it, right, I don't know much about the technology. Sorry, I can't get my words out. I don't know much about all of that. And the chart looks like a pile of crap. But whether you believe Craig Wright is Satoshi or not doesn't really mean anything. That's irrelevant, really. I couldn't care if he is or if he isn't. Personally, I actually don't think he is. But what I do think is that he's confident enough that he has quite a sizable amount of bitcoins, which makes him extremely powerful. That makes him essentially, I'd probably say, makes him the biggest whale, the Bitcoin whale out there. And it seems like a bit of a nasty bloke as well. And it wouldn't surprise me if he went out of his way to prove a point by pumping his coin and dumping Bitcoin just to prove a point. But whatever you say about him, Satoshi or not, good guy, bad guy, genius, weirdo, loser, I don't know. He's definitely got power, and you got to side with the strong sometimes, and he does appear to have power, and I'd rather be on his side in a way. So that's the only reason I put money into that, and it seems to have paid off for now. And it's actually something I'm just going to hodl as well. I'm not actually going to sell it. I'm just going to leave it because why not? It's not really heavily tradable, to be honest with you. So I've bought it. I'm keeping it. I'm seeing what happens with it. I don't have many anyway. Kind of wish I did though. Right, what coins are we going to look at then? See how they reacted to today's madness. It looks like most of these are topping out though, to be honest, I have to say. Let's go down to smaller time frame. I'm just going to have a look at Bitcoin on the 5 minute, and I would never do this. It's only in circumstances like this where we kind of get I kind of get a rough idea of what's going on when you look at the 5 minute. It still looks like it wants to move up, to be honest with you. It still looks like it's got room to move. I don't think there's any reason why it's going to fall down anytime soon. Probably another push up and above this level here before it's pulled back. Yep, let's have a look at Link then, shall we? In fact, I wonder how Link's actually been doing. I haven't looked at Link throughout this. Good old Link, eh? We do love a bit of Link. So Binance is moving back up again. That's nice to know. We'll go to the 5 minute charts. I don't normally trade 5 minute charts, guys. It's only to get entry points, but when markets are moving like this, it's interesting to see how they're reacting, to be honest. Binance coin's definitely doing very well. Like I say, I do have a lot of hope for Binance coin. Right, let's have a peep at Link then. So Link, what was this move? About 10% move? 5 minute chart. Let's go to a 4 hourly. Actually, let's have a look at Bitcoin on a 4 hourly and just see how that looks. That is a bit of a spinny there. They're all getting spinnies. So they're a bit of a negative spinny. I mean, I like it. Let's have a look at the. Yeah, it's definitely wanting to top out, similar with Bitcoin. I'd be very surprised if any of these have got too much further to go. So I'm not looking to be making any more purchases now. I need to wait for these pullbacks to kick in. It looks pretty looks pretty good. Looks as good as all the others. On a 4-hourly chart, so we've had some decent runs over these last few days. I think it needs to pull back a little. Find a resistance around $2.34 to around about $2.30ish. Yeah, so. And where did we bounce down to? $2.32 there, so we fell down to that level there. So I think it wants to come back down here. It doesn't mean it's going to happen then, immediately, but I think the way that I'm seeing all this going now is it's going to all be dictated by Bitcoin, and Bitcoin wants to top out around this level here, and it wants to pull back. And if it pulls back, everything else will pull back with it, including Chainlink. So I think Chainlink is going to retest this level here, which isn't much further to go. It's only a little bit. We've just come down here just in this last sort of 4-hour period, haven't we? So $2.32 will be back down there again, and we'll just see how the rest of the market develops with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, like I say, is very, very bullish at the moment. This is bullish chart on every time frame, apart from, well, I mean, the weekly is bullish, definitely, but it's not bullish until we confirm this level here. We need to break above this big candlestick here. If we get above there, close above there, it would also coincide with the top of this itchy cloud, which we're currently sailing our way through. Once we get above there and we stay above there, we're back into bullish mode, baby. And we will probably stay there I would expect, for the majority of the year. We don't want to see huge parabolic moves like we've seen on these other things. We don't want to see this again. I would much rather see a slower developed bull run on this one. A slower, more sustained growth is what we need. We don't need this crazy madness, because we can't sustain it. We'll come back down just like this. We'll have big moves up and long periods down. Big moves up, long periods down. It's been a pretty depressing time actually for the majority of the year since the summer, because everything was great when it started and then it just collapsed back in on itself. If you believe in the 4-year cycle, then technically we've still got another 2 years left of bullish mode. And if we spend 2 years with the majority of that consolidating after big giant moves, it's not going to be very fun 4-year cycle, is it? It won't be like the others anyway. Currently it's not like the others anyway. It's definitely different this time round than it has been in the last previous 4s. Right, so let's have a look at ADA. I wonder how ADA's doing. I don't really look at ADA, to be honest with you. I never look at ADA anymore. Done alright though, hasn't it? Everything's done alright though. Let's have a look at this. Nice big rejection there on the 4-hourly, but relatively consistent these last few. How many this last week or so? So it's been wanting to move, hasn't it? It doesn't. I mean, when you're looking at these other indicators here, I mean that they're messy. They're messy. So I would expect big pumps and big dumps with this coin. I don't see why this coin would be any better than things like Ethereum, for instance, or Litecoin. What am I currently holding? I'm holding a massive bag. Well, I say massive. I'm holding about 500 Binance coin, and then in my margin accounts, I've got half a Bitcoin in one, about 12,000 XRP, and 30 Ethereums, but they're just for that's just for my trading margin accounts. My actual Binance account is about, like I say, just over 500 Binance coin, and then a bit of a stack of Tether. At the moment, my plans are probably to hold off for see how we consolidate from this, and then might actually just go back into Bitcoin. To be honest with you, Bitcoin, Litecoin. But my theory would be that when all is said and done, and we have all these pumps with all the alts, the profits, the majority of the profits from that is going to go into is going to likely go into Bitcoin, and when Bitcoin reaches this pinnacle level here, it will launch. And it kind of goes against everything I said I don't want to see. I don't want to see huge big moves, but once we get above here, we'll be moving really fast into the 10,000s. Let's have a look. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we got close to a 20% move once we've broken above this cloud and closed above this cloud, so that all the profits from the majority of these altcoins will go into Bitcoin to create that giant big push. And then of course, you know, it'll be dispersed back into the alts, and then we can decide where we want to go. I think overall the alts that I'll be looking at trading is going to be Ethereum. I don't bother with Ethereum Classic because I don't know anything about it, but it's done enormous, hasn't it? It's almost doubled since its bottom, so that's done extremely well. Litecoin is doing really well, but I'm a little skeptical about that because I understand why it did such big runs in the previous bull run, as in like last year because of the halving event, but not this time. I don't really see why it's going to be making big moves again. I think I've got no idea why it's moving so powerfully all over again, because it I mean, after the halving event, it completely died. It was a bit of a non-event. I mean, the only thing that halved with Litecoin was its value, more than halved. So I'm a little bit skeptical about why it's doing that. So I'm not looking to trade it, even though I'm pretty sure I'll be missing out. It's because I don't really understand it. So Ethereum's going to have a big year this year, and Bitcoin, you can't really go wrong. And then I do love to trade these small cap coins, like Matic and BitTorrent token. Again, like I say, BitTorrent token at the moment looks like it wants to do something pretty good. Just judging it by this daily chart and this long period of upwards momentum with the MACD, basically with high volume on it as well. It's got a lot of volume in this coin for a small cap. I think this one's going to do pretty good. But then I'm not saying that because I think it's going to do well in the long term. I've got no idea what it's going to do in the long term, but the very short term, it looks like it wants to make some big bold moves. Where do I live? I live in York, in Yorkshire. But I'm from Leeds. That's the UK. Oh my god, that's weird. I didn't mean to do that. Ren. Let's have a look at Ren then, shall we? We'll look at it on the Bitcoin, because the tether pairing hasn't really got much history to it. Yeah, Bitcoin SV just went bonkers, didn't it? Yeah, absolute bonkers. Right then, let's have a peep at this. So, my theory of this overall, and it kind of almost played out, is that we were going to come back down to test this level. If this level was tested, we'd find decent bounces. We didn't quite get down to 400, but we got very close to 400. What was that? 416, and then we bounced. So it doesn't look like it wants massive continuation at the moment. It actually needs to break above this level here and stay above that level here, which is 531. Staying above there and closing above there would be a bit more bullish to me, because that was our previous temporary support. And then if we can bounce, or not even bounce, but show that we're getting resistant support on that level there, then I would probably go bullish again. But at the moment it's still struggling a little bit. It's not ready to go up to its previous highs by any means. Daily chart generally, I mean, that was definitely a bad week. We are looking at sats here though. I'm not too keen on it right now at the moment, because technically, I mean, where the candle body is right now, we're actually beneath all moving averages of any significance. But getting above this level, 533, and staying above there, that would be bullish to me. I'd be quite happy with that. And then we'd look for continuation as of that point, because we'd be above all the moving averages as well, and we'd be showing a support where we were supported before when we had this run here. So 533 minimum, and then see how we lift off from there. Oh yeah, cheers. Jesus is one of my one of my mates off my Telegram group. He's the one who introduced me to Bitcoin SV, so thank you very much for that, Jesus. And Saturday, if anyone didn't realise what he's talking about, on Saturday, I'm due to, not me personally, my other half, she's due to give birth to our second daughter there. So thanks, mate. I appreciate that. I appreciate the tips that you've sent me and introduced me to Bitcoin SV, which is something I would have never have looked at on my own. So all the best for that, Jesus. Right, anyone for any more then? Let's keep looking at this. It's been an interesting day. Like I say, I am expecting pullbacks now, so this is probably the best opportunity to have a look at how strong coins have been during this period of upwards momentum. It'd be interesting to see how things are coping. We can go back to some of these that we've been looking at. One, like I say, a bit of a write-off at the moment. Matic, definite underperformer, not avoided the death cross. BitTorrent token looking like it wants to make some big bold moves, and I'm talking 25% moves in a day sort of thing. I don't have an estimated time frame for that, but I'd probably say any minute, any time from now, to be honest. Litecoin wants to break above the 200 EMA. Bitcoin SV, I can't look at that. It's not on the Binance, so I can't really look at it, to be honest. And there's no point in looking at it, in all fairness. That is a coin that someone's already said it on here. It's traded purely on fundamentals and news, and that's fine. But the chart is not going to show us anything. It's not going to show us any. All we're going to be able to do when looking at that chart is just marvel in its absolute glory. But there's no TA that's going to tell you anything on that. No way. It would just not be realistic. When something moves up 100% in a day, I mean, no one could be able to tell you what's going to happen next on that. Alright, so Ethereum looking like it still wants to have a little bit of a push up towards 68. Where did we come back down from here? It was about 68, wasn't it? Yeah, 68 was where we collapsed from. So I think we'll push up and above there, perhaps maybe later. But it's all depending on Bitcoin. BAT, very strong. Wants to break above this cloud here, the 21 cent mark. Once we've broken above there, we probably find ourselves getting rejected from the 22.30 mark. But once we've broken above there, then we can start to talk about being really bullish on that boy. XRP, love it or hate it, it's pretty much the same as most of these at the moment. Relatively decent sort of accumulation, and coming into some decent bullish mode actually, so it wouldn't surprise me. And XRP likes to sort of pull sneaky moves, so again, being rejected from the top of the itchy cloud, which is fine. And that's 24.4 or 24.5 basically. Breaking above there, rejection at 26, and breaking above there, we could be floating all the way up to around close to 30. Binance coin, I was looking at levels of about 18, wasn't I, before? Yeah, I think it was about 18.20 before a significant pullback on there. But again, as you can see, we're all being rejected from this same area, this itchy cloud, from the top of the resistance of the itchy cloud. Let's have a look at ADA. ADA's not, oh no, it's a 4 hourly. On the daily, actually, yeah, ADA's looking more bullish than I thought it was. So ADA actually has broken the trend of most altcoins at the moment. So this is the one that looks like it was likely to have decent continuation over time. But I'm not saying it's going to do massive big bold moves, but over time it looks like it could do that. But it's going to be a bit of a slow burner to start with. Let's have a look at some of these. It's messy when you look at the other components to it, but it's definitely broken more resistance than other coins. And Bitcoin, the most bullish of all the charts, way above the cloud. It looks like we're almost certainly going to get this golden cross take place on the daily. So I would expect that the overall Bitcoin is actually going to make the biggest moves over the next couple of weeks than the majority of altcoins. Because my theory is that once everybody's taken profits, which is what they will do, people will take profits, they're going to put it into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the strongest looking chart. Even though it doesn't make the biggest moves at the moment, it's the strongest looking chart right now. The bullish CEO, wow, what's going on, man? How you doing? Another one of the Telegram group followers there. If you want to join my Telegram, I've not got a link, but if you go to my Twitter, search CryptoClick, you recognise my symbol. It's a pinned tweet on there, so you can come and join me on my channel there, if you like. There's a lot of decent people on there with, to be honest with you, really good tips. I mean, I wouldn't have bothered with Bitcoin SV. I wouldn't have bothered with that if I hadn't even set up that Telegram. There's a lot of decent, strong opinions on there that differ from my own, and there's a couple of guys on there who have made extremely good calls, much better calls than anything I've ever done, apart from Matic. But they also called Matic too. So feel free to join that group. Like I say, there's some strong characters on there, some decent opinions on there. And I'd like to hear yours too. Right, any more coins then? Before my tea gets too cold to drink and I have to go make another one, which means I'll probably call this live stream a day. It's a bit early, I've not been doing it for too long. Best Telegram group. Well, it's a slow burn in my Telegram group, and it's not the greatest. It's not the biggest, but I think when a Telegram group gets too big, it just gets unmanageable, doesn't it? I mean, you go on. I used to go on the Matic one, and I mean, I'm dyslexic, so I struggle reading. It's a real chore for me. And especially, I mean, I read all day at work, working for social services. I have to read through people's case files and stuff like that. The last thing I want to do is sit back and read masses and masses and masses of chat. I feel like our Telegram group that we've got going is just the right size, with just the right amount of people who have the right kind of opinions. It's not like people just writing any old crap in there. Right, well, I'll tell you what then, guys, I'm just going to leave it with you there. But thanks for joining me, and we'll see how this plays out. So just a bit of a nutshell, I do think Bitcoin's going to be pulling back, but I don't think it's going to be collapsing in on itself. I think we'll be pulling back to around about 8,600 or maybe 8,550 or thereabouts. I'd be surprised if we get as low as 8,450, but we could. My targets for XRP are actually a little bit ambitious. I think we retest this area here. We try and crack through this area here of 24.50, so 24.50, and then we find our way to 26. And then once we've broken above 26 and actually break above there and stay above there, we could come all the way up to close to 30, around about 29, or I'll probably say about 29. So big moves from XRP, but again, it's a bearish chart. It's a bearish setup. Everything's quite bearish with XRP, but when it does like to make moves, it does make decent moves. But breaking out of anything other than our previous high of last year, getting up to around 50 cent would take some form of miracle. But it's a sneaky one, so who knows? Those are my personal targets, and it's the same as all of these coins. They need to break above the itchy cloud, and then to break above the 200 simple, the 200 exponential. Those are crucial points, and which is why I say that the Bitcoin is the most bullish chart, because it's done all of that already. So it's set and ready to go. The only thing it needs to do is take out of its previous high of around about 9,500, and then it should be plain sailing from that point onwards. And that's good, because we want Bitcoin to be bullish, because that allows the rest of the market to be bullish. Currently the dominance I think is actually quite low, so that's why we're having pumps across the board. But it won't take long for that to switch once we've broken above this level here. Once we get above 9,500, Bitcoin dominance will be extremely bullish, and you'll see that Bitcoin again will then take the lead, and other alts will start to suffer. And that's why we like to have some of these underdog characters like BitTorrent Token and Matic and whatnot. That's why we always like to have those in our sights, because when they make big moves, small cap coins make enormous moves, but they're not trending generally with the rest of the market. They do hold their own promise, and they have their own kind of season, kind of unrelated to the rest of the market. So we like to keep those guys in our crosshairs. But for the moment, it looks like the whole market wants to move as one until Bitcoin breaks above 9,500, where dominance will just completely just destroy a lot of alts, and Bitcoin again will become the major player. But for the moment, let's just enjoy what our favourite alts are doing and cash in on that. And just be very wary that once this area is taken out, 9,500, and closed above there on a daily, then we might want to start thinking about putting our money back into Bitcoin, because that probably will be the biggest mover, at least in the short term. Anyway, that's my analysis. I hope you have a nice evening. Take it easy, everybody. I'll sign out.